Hey everyone and welcome to Storytime. My name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at the subreddit r/maliciouscompliance. So sit back, relax and enjoy some satisfying stories. Correcting my every move? Oops, this is on you. Back in the early 90s, I worked in graphic design. I took a job with a small agency, now defunct, and was supposed to be the creative director. Soon after joining, I learned that I was fed a line of BS and that actually I was considered an entry-level designer. This after having my portfolio reviewed with videos of commercials, tapes of radio stuff, entire campaigns written and concepted by me, etc. But nope, you are entry-level now. Well, I needed the job desperately and was told, your first 3 months are probation, after that you'll get larger duties. Well, okay, we'll see how this goes. I had rent and a car payment, so not a lot of choices and nobody was hiring. During that idiotic probation, the guy I was replacing was still there for a month, I know, to oversee the transition. Seriously folks, transition over maybe 5 accounts that weren't that busy, but whatever. Not to mention my 15 years in the biz, and this guy only had 2 years, but I digress. This guy, let's call him Jay, because that's his name, was a really freaky dude. He looked like an alien and acted like a robot. Zero emotions, barely moved his face when he talked, never laughed, and most importantly, not creative at all. And a real idiot when it came to all the silly rules and regulations of this tiny 5-person agency. Basically a real pain in the butt. But I did my best to know what he wanted, knowing he'd be, thankfully, gone soon. Within the first month, I was given an assignment of designing a pocket folder with inserts. Very standard stuff. Instead of the standard verbally tabbed inserts, however, the client wanted them to be stepped, meaning that each insert gets shorter and shorter as it gets to the front of the pocket for a stepped look. A hassle, but nothing that difficult. For a couple of days, I'm getting the measurements right, making sure this rough is totally perfect, because Jay picked out all of my colors, fonts, etc., and getting them approved by my incredibly hands-on agency owner. An entire novel could be written about this, but that's for another sub. So now that the rough idea has been approved by the client, the next week I'm creating the actual files for the job to be printed from. I got all of the portions correct. It's just waiting for the final text from the client and I'll be all done. Please note that this is an ad agency and every minute of our time is recorded on time cards as to what we're doing and what client it's for. We're not allowed to even fudge on this card no matter what, even if it's us correcting our own errors or whatever. And per Jay, we're supposed to supply details on each portion, down to even putting down the minutes for our filling out the time card. Yes, idiotic, but there you have it. I come in the next morning and there's Jay. He's sitting at my computer and on the screen is my folder job. So I casually sit down in the adjacent chair and say, "Hey Jay, what's up?" Jay doesn't turn to me or look at me. He just states with a robotic yet irritated voice, "I have spent the last 2 hours going over this folder job and correcting your incredibly stupid errors. The sizing of these inserts is all over the place, and this is incredibly sloppy work. I don't know why this place even hired you." So I'm barely able to contain my laughter, but state, "Oh, Jay, that's interesting. Wait for a beat. Did you read the job folder description? Because those inserts are supposed to be stepped down in size for each one. It took me about 2 hours to get that just right. I certainly hope you didn't change all of them, because your time will have to be explained, and then, per your instructions, I'll have to write down on my time card who messed them up, and why I had to do them all over again." I watched the back of Jay's head, who was now frozen in place and not moving. His ears slowly turned bright red. Well, Jay, you better get out of my chair because I'm going to have to get busy and change them all back, and that's going to take a while. Oh, and Jay, make sure you put down on your time card the hours you spent this morning on this job and explain them so I don't get into trouble for going over the budgeted hours. Jay slowly got up from the chair and walked out. What poor young Jay didn't know is that I had a secret file of backups and it wouldn't take me that long, but I was going to sit at that computer and pretend to be working on that job for the rest of the day while talking on the phone to my friends. And I'd be sure to mark down all the time it would have taken to fix young Jay's mistakes with a very detailed explanation for my hours, per Jay's instruction. I left that horribly run agency within a few months to start my own design business. It was the last time I ever worked for someone else. I retired last year after 25 years owning my own business, but I'll always remember Jay and laugh. Thanks for the laughs, Jay. Imagine going into the creative industry with no creativity. Like, this guy described him as a robot. That's like the worst person to hire. Force this kid to take the final? Fine, he'll take it. So this happened years ago when I was in high school, but I smile every time I think of it. My high school had a policy that anyone who was missed less than a certain number of school days could pick one class they had an A in to skip the final. You could get a couple extra days for college visits, but otherwise it was very straightforward. Awesome policy, and we all loved it. One year, we had this kid who was in 8th grade and had been diagnosed with cancer. He spent a lot of his years sick, getting treatment, going to the hospital, running to the bathroom to throw up, etc. Despite all this, he finished the year with an A in his Spanish class. It was only his high school class, so it was the only final he would have been able to skip. Administration was not going to let him skip the final because he had missed too much school. He and his parents asked them to make an exception, given the situation, but administration wouldn't budge. His teacher stood up for him, but was told that this kid had to take the final no matter what. He had missed too many days school and there would be no exception. The teacher said okay, but told her class not to study for, worry about, or exempt her final. Then, the first day all her students showed up for the final, she told them to take out a piece of paper and number it 1 to 3, leaving one line in between each number. She then asked 3 questions along the lines of, "What is your name? How do you say yes in Spanish? And how do you say hello in Spanish?" Then she collected the final. Everyone got a 100 that year, and she became a legend. The kid has been cancer-free for over 5 years now. That is an awesome teacher, and congrats to the kid for being cancer-free, that's awesome as well. We agreed to swap chores with each other. So I received a phone call from a coworker out of the blue. These sort of abrupt calls are usually always about favors or money lending. Indeed, before long she asked me if I could help her with moving furniture, because she was relocating. An important detail is that I also happen to be readying to move out of my apartment and into a house around the same time. Anyway, I told her it would be no trouble to help her with the move, and that was that, or so I thought. A day or two later, I get a call and she wants to know how much I want to be paid for moving. I tell her that I was intending to help her move for free, and I genuinely meant it. She insists that it wouldn't be right for me to go unpaid, and then I get an idea. I actually don't own a vacuum cleaner, so I asked her if she had one. She said yes, and I said, well, this will actually work out perfectly then. Once I get all my furniture out of my apartment, you can just come over with your vacuum and clean my apartment up, in exchange for me helping you with your move. She agreed. Well, today I received a voicemail from her that told me she wouldn't be able to clean my apartment. I returned her call and asked her if I could come pick up the vacuum so I could do the cleaning myself. She said okay, so I went to go get it. While I was there, she apologized for changing her mind about cleaning, and I said it was no trouble. It's not a big deal for me to clean it myself. Then she said, "Yeah, I thought you should stop being lazy and just clean your apartment yourself." I took the vacuum and vacuumed and then returned it. While I was there, she wanted to confirm that I was still available for helping her move out when the time came, and I told her, "No, the deal was that you cleaned my apartment in exchange for helping you move, but you never cleaned my apartment." It seriously baffles me why she insisted on this arrangement in the first place. If she just left well enough alone, I'd be happy to move her dresser and couch for nothing in return. Why would you not just keep your mouth shut? Like, why would you seriously say that at all? It just baffles me, these things. Get one of the women to do it. My girlfriend used to work at a furniture store, which also sold ovens, microwaves, and pretty much any household item that was donated. At this particular store, all of the paid staff were women, capable women who lifted ovens and couches daily. Sexes of volunteers were mixed, but they never lifted anything, mainly performed menial tasks and manned the cash. One day, this old guy comes into the store and purchases an oak coffee table. Big, awkward, and heavy. Nothing my Dutch-born brick house of a girlfriend can't handle. Plus, the only man in the store, frail man, was an older man who tested lamps and light bulbs in the back. The old guy speaks up. "Perhaps you could get one of the men to carry this out." "I'm happy to help you. I actually helped bring it into the store." "A man should be lifting this. Please get one of the men to help carry it out to my van." So, girlfriend goes into the back and asks the frail man for assistance. Knowing the eventual outcome, frail man sees the coffee table. "I can't lift that. Get one of the women to do it." He promptly went to the back and returned to work. My girlfriend helped the old guy bring the table to her vehicle without issue. She says this happened a lot, mainly with older people. I guess old people still have that traditional thing of the men should be the breadwinners and the people who lift things, and the women should be like watching from the side, but that's not how it works anymore. "Yes sir, I'll be happy to honor your expired coupon." I just remembered this one from a few years back. I work nights at a hotel. Back then, the manager would place ads with coupons advertising rooms at a discount. In general, these coupons were a real PITA. They clearly said not valid on weekends or holidays, and had expiration dates. I would regularly have to argue with guests because they were trying to use them in violation of the terms. Anyway, one day, this guy comes in and slaps a magazine with one of our coupons down on the desk, and stares me down. I sigh internally and look at the coupon. It's a couple of months out of date. I start speaking to the guy. "Our rate for the night is..." "I know the rate, it says right here." He jabs his finger into the magazine, just about punching a hole in our marble counter. "Now, you're going to honor this coupon, or I'm going to call my friend who owns the company." I really wanted to tell him to go ahead, because if he really knew the owner, he'd know that the company is a franchise, and each hotel is privately owned. Instead, what I say is, "Absolutely, sir." You see, what I was going to tell him before he cut me off was that his coupon was out of date, and from the height of tourist season. Since the season was over, and we'd already gotten snow, our regular nightly rate was almost half of what his coupon said. Since he was insistent that I honor it, I saw no reason not to charge him almost double what everyone else was paying. A lot of these are just r/facepalm, like, how could you be so stupid? And if you did know the owner, I'm pretty sure you'd be staying in a nicer suite than just a normal hotel room. Full accounting of my time? You got it. And then some. My boss is a lunatic who will often, without prompting, flip out and accuse me of wasting time. I literally do the work of 5 people. I run the office and the other employees, do invoicing, accounting, tech support, admin stuff, etc. But also graphic design, photography, website design, videography, content creation, and social media, among others. I am dead by the end of every day, which is usually 12 hours long. This flip out happens. Meanwhile, he's constantly interrupting me for stupid stuff instead of letting me work. He has no self-awareness of this, no matter how many times I try to point it out to him. And if something doesn't get done, he again loses it and accuses me of wasting time. A few months ago, he demanded a full accounting of my time. This was after he interrupted me repeatedly for discussions about his religion, and I was at the end of my freaking rope. So here is an excerpt of full accounting of my time, as he requested. 11:45 to 12:20, editing and working on hype video, including organizing, trimming, and melding clips. 12:20 to 12:55, you stopped me for religious discussion, reading several biblical parables aloud and explaining them. 1 o'clock to 1:22, video editing, arranging clips in preparation for music and special effects. 1:22 to 1:54, you stopped me to show several lengthy Grant Cardone videos because they annoyed you. 1:54 to 2:29, video editing, transferring files to hard drive for compilation. 2:29 to 2:40, you stopped me to have me watch a YouTube video of a duck. In total, he took up 3 hours and 28 minutes of my day. He mostly shut up about my time wasting. If I was like the owner of some big business that hired people, then I would just love to hire this person. If they do the work of 5 people and they're like not complaining about it, then sure, I'd love to hire you. Hey everyone, I hope you all had a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to check out some other videos, then click on screen right now, or check out the playlist down below. If you enjoyed that video, then please do leave a like. And if you want to submit your own stories, then you can do so by joining the Discord in the top link in the description. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.